Welcome, my name's Anand, and today's video is going to debunk 3 myths about meditation. When you hear the word meditation, what comes to your mind? Is it someone sitting silently or chanting some sort of mantra with the fingers like this? Maybe they're sitting in a lotus position or legs tucked in under and they're in a specific position. And perhaps you may visualize that the person has no thoughts, that they're calm and still like a lake with no wind. I'm curious if that's your impression or belief around meditation. If it is, the good news is that's one aspect of meditation, but it's not all of meditation. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different myths that we associate with meditation. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a couple of pointers so that you can get started in this strange world of meditation if you're unsure of it. So, if you're new to this channel, you're very welcome. And if you're returning back, it's great to see you. My name's Anand and I'm an emotional wellness coach. And I also include meditation within that because meditation has such a powerful impact on how we look at our emotions and how we can move from inner struggles to a life of inner richness. And so that's why you'll always hear me weaving in meditations in various videos. So let's go on to these 3 myths. So the first one is that when people think, when I'm meditating, I have 0 thoughts. That's not accurate. As you meditate, and the more you meditate, your thoughts will slow down. And at some point, this is not my own experience, at some point they may stop. But it doesn't happen immediately, and we're not trying to stop all thoughts when we're meditating. And I'm going to go to who I think is a wonderful source to learn about meditation, is Osho. So in this book, it's called Meditation, the First and Last Freedom. Osho describes meditation as watching. He says, watching is meditation. So what does he mean by watching? It is literally just what it says on the tin. You're watching your thoughts. Maybe you're watching the activity you're doing. You're watching your emotions. So, and you're watching anything. You can watch anything. But it's not this sort of passive watching where you're just, like numbing out watching a TV. It's bringing a quality of awareness while watching. So how does that relate to when we think about we're sitting in a meditation, or we're sitting and we're silently meditating, and a lot of people say to me, well, I can't meditate, my mind is too busy, I have too many thoughts. So that that becomes a barrier for them because they think, well, then I can't meditate because I'm thinking too much. And the good news is, it's okay. So, when you're meditating, you just allow the thoughts. They come, they go, they're like clouds. They're like, they're just coming there all the time. But as you start to watch and bring your awareness to these thoughts, they start to slow down. So, if you think of or visualize a series of buses all pulling out of a depot. Bus number 1, bus number 2, bus number 3. So you can think of your thoughts like that. Now, they might all come out at the same time and lots of activity happens, and that can be how the mind can be. Or the buses come out slowly and there's a gap. And then the next bus. Or another analogy I like to use is Thoughts are a bit like the speed of how you drive. So if you're most of us are like racers. Our mind is going at 220 miles or kilometers per hour. Like doom, 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 doom. Thought, 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 thought. Millions of them, thousands of them. And then as you start to watch your thoughts, maybe it drops down a gear and it goes down to maybe 150 miles an hour or kilometers. So it's doom, 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 doing. And then it slows down further. So thoughts are still there, but maybe it's 100 miles an hour. So there's a thought, but there's a tiny gap between. And that's what, as you're watching, you see the thought and you see the gap. So you see both. And then eventually, as time goes on and the more consistent you are in meditating and watching, they go down to maybe 50 miles an hour or kilometers, 20 miles an hour. And maybe there's just a short period of no thought, completely empty. Now the goal is not so much to get to that completely empty. That happens by itself. The whole thing with meditation is to watch. And the more you watch, the more the thing happens. And I speak from experience. I have spent years trying and focusing on getting to no thoughts, an empty mind. And it's exhausting. And that's why I've realized it doesn't work. And Osho has said to me many times in books and talks, watch, keep watching, but I didn't hear it. But now, through sheer exhaustion, I'm beginning to see, just watch. And then the slowing down of thoughts and those little gaps, they get bigger. And they happen by themselves. So that's the first thing. So if you're saying to yourself, I don't meditate because I have too many thoughts. Doesn't matter. Just watch. Which leads me on to the second myth. So people say, you must have to, they think of meditation with a specific posture, maybe a very difficult posture, sitting or standing for hours or in a lotus position. Again, going back to what Osho shares in that book, the first thing is to be comfortable. You don't have to create barriers to meditation or to make it any harder than it is, because actually the act of watching or watching your thoughts, watching in whatever it is you do, that in itself can be very difficult to remain a watcher, to remain alert on a consistent basis. It's like a muscle. You'll notice for a minute, you'll watch for a minute, you might only watch for 10 seconds. But it's harder than you think. It sounds simple, but it's hard in practice. So by adding on difficult postures and positions creates a further barrier to meditation. So you can sit in a chair, you can sit in whatever way that is comfortable for you. The other thing is to be warm. There are meditations out there that do extreme, they add extreme elements to it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be freezing cold or too hot or sweat yourself out or any of those difficult things. That's kind of where the ego may come in. In some cases it can come in. It becomes about, can I endure something? It's keeping it simple. Be comfortable, be warm, or make sure you're cool enough, or whatever it is, be comfortable. Remove all of the hindrances that can get in the way of you sitting, meditating and watching. And then the third myth to debunk, or the third, people think, right, so when I'm meditating, you do it for hours, or you do it in a special time and a special box, and I'm sitting there still and I'm doing this. Anything can be a meditation. That's the best news. When you are going about your daily activities that can become a meditation. Because, as also shared, watching is meditation. And he goes on to say, I'm just going to read this. He says, you can watch the trees, you can watch the river, you can watch the clouds, you can watch children playing around. Watching is meditation. What you watch is not the point. The object is not the point. The quality of observation, the quality of being aware and alert, that's what meditation is. And with this understanding, Osho created Osho active meditations because he understood that the modern man and woman, our lifestyle has designed that we are extremely busy in our minds. When Buddha was around, I don't know, thousands of years ago, life was different. And if anything, life has speeded up even since the time of when Osho left the body in 1990. In my lifetime, life has speeded up. So of course most of us are going to really struggle to slow down, to get into meditation, to just watch. But if you use an activity first before going into silence, it makes it much easier. And anything can be a meditation. If you like running, then bring watching into your running. If you enjoy a workout, bring watching there. If you like to make sounds and sing, bring watching there. Gardening, any activity, you can bring meditation in there. For me, my thing is cutting vegetables. I don't know what it is, but when I'm preparing vegetables, I go very silent and meditation arises because I'm just watching, just going with it, very relaxed. And I said at the beginning of this video that there are 3 bonus points to add, or 3 bonus elements to add. And again, drawing on from what Osho says, he says that there are 3, I'm just reading it here, there are 3 things to meditation: relaxation, watching, and no judgment. So relaxation is just, often when we think of meditation, our mind is kind of geared in a way that we think we have to do the meditation. So Osho's devised many techniques, whether they're the active meditations or resharing the Book of Secrets, where there's 112 different techniques. There's a certain activity you would do, but it's not about doing the activity. The activity is a means of getting you into silence, of slowing down the thoughts. And so when you're doing a meditation, just relax into it, relaxing into the breathing, relaxing your body, relaxing into whatever it is you want to do to bring about this watching state. And then Osho says about no concentration. So again, you hear this word, concentrate, focus. That's good for work. That's good for, when you want to achieve a goal. It's good for a sport. But for meditation, concentration means that you narrow your sphere. And you lose awareness, but you become focused. But watching is about watching everything. Thoughts, your breath, body sensations, sounds around you, the feeling of the air, and you include everything. So that's why he says no concentration, because the watching includes everything. And then the final thing is no judging. And I was working with a client during the week, and one of the things they were finding about themselves was particular behaviour they weren't happy with. So we did an experiment. So for 7 days, they're going to watch it. And the key thing is that for them, it's to watch it without judging. Because as I shared with them and what Osho says, if you judge, you'll stop watching. As you start to notice things and you go, and you're just watching your thoughts, or maybe you're watching an emotion, or you're watching a sensation, and your mind goes, no, that's not good, that's bad, don't do that, or don't allow that, or oh, this emotion's come up, don't allow, judging. You will stop watching because you don't want to feel yourself judging yourself. No one likes to be judged, especially when we judge ourselves. But judging, there's two sides to judging. There's the no, that's not good, that's bad, and then there's the judging, that's the positive. Oh, you're doing really well, you didn't think there. Oh, your thoughts have stuck. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. The minute you start to judge both in a positive way, you stop watching too. Because now you're going into this judging, this, oh, look at me, I'm doing this. That becomes the ego. And the ego, as I said, can have two faces. It can have the attacking or judging the self, saying, oh, no, you can't do that, don't go there. Or that, oh, look at me, I'm doing this. So no judging. And if you see yourself judging, because often I know this myself, I'm sitting in meditation, mind goes, oh, look, you haven't had any thoughts. And then I go, oh, sugar, I shouldn't have had that thought. So then that's another judgment. And it can become a judgment upon a judgment upon a judgment. Relax. That's all you have to do is to relax. Let it go. Okay, I see you thought. I see you judgment. I see you thought. I'm going to relax. And that's where these three elements intertwine with each other. When you relax, when you watch, and you don't judge, meditation arises. Silence arises. No thought arises. Whether it's for a second, 30 seconds, a minute, doesn't matter. Relax, watch, and don't judge, and something will happen. So I invite you to play around with this and let me know how you get on. If you're interested in discovering what your meditation style is, there's a link down below to a free quiz, and you can find out what your meditation style could be, and there'll be specific techniques that you can then try then. In case you're thinking, oh my God, there's so many meditations out there, what will I do? You can do that, or as I said earlier, use an activity that you really enjoy and bring that watching quality there and see how you go. Until next time, thank you and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.